We're going to be discussing German roach biology, Blattella, Germanica, Linnaeus, all on this edition of the Pest Geek Podcast.
Pull out your hose and grab your can. We're about to integrate another Pest Geek Podcast. Hi, everybody. Frank Hernandez here, and welcome to the Pest Geek Podcast, bringing you the latest information on pests, products, and politics from today's leading industry sources to help you start, manage, and grow your pest control business.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. I am your host, Frank Hernandez, here every week discussing all things pest, and now here every day. We're going to be going over the German cockroach biology. And I think this is so important because biology, a lot of the time, everybody just wants to know what chemical you use to control them. But if you don't understand the biology of the pest you're dealing with, you're not going to effectively control it. And when you do design a protocol to control German cockroach, you got to take into account always the biology. And what is the biology? Well, it's the behavior of that roach, how that roach lives, eats, breeds, multiplies. How long does it take for things to happen with that roach, and what are the expectations? Most of the time, the expectations are not correct. Before I go into the details, I want to remind everybody to please go over to pestgeekpodcast.com. There you can see everything that's going on. We've added new videos. We're adding new stuff to that site all the time. So go there, check it out. There's a phone number if you want to reach us. You can reach us 24/7, leaving a recorded message on there. Whatever you want to discuss about the podcast, tell us whether we're good, we're bad, we suck, I should go do something else. Whatever it is, go ahead and go there and let us know. Also, you can join the society by going to Facebook. You can look up the group Pest Geek Podcast Listeners, and we have a group there, and you can join and comment on the videos, comment on anything that we post on there. Please do. Let us know about how we're doing with this. What could we do better? What could we do better with, what did I miss? Sometimes I miss stuff. I don't get to cover everything, on this podcast. So, it help a brother out. Let us know how we're doing. And, just go to our Facebook page, like it, and, share our content. Please share our content with your friends. Ask your friends to join. I'm sure you know a lot of friends in the pest control industry. And go ahead. We want to reach, far and wide. We just started the YouTube channel, and we're going to be uploading all of our audio, to the YouTube, making it a video. So people are searching for us. Anywhere people are searching for us, they're going to find us. We're going to be everywhere. So go ahead and join the society. And without further ado, let me get into the topic. The German cockroach, probably the most notorious cockroach in the world because it is distributed worldwide. Now, this particular cockroach, unlike other cockroaches, which are paradomestic or they're just purely outdoor roaches, the German cockroach tends to be purely domestic. Whenever you see them outside, you've got a really serious problem everywhere. I show up to a home, I show up to an apartment. They got them. I've seen them, in the door frames. When you see roaches in the door frames, you're in for a good one. You've got a major infestation with several 100,000 roaches at that point. And that's not going to get cleaned out overnight. That's going to take months to deal with. We've done projects that we're doing. We're actually getting ready to go start a project in the inner city. And the last time we did it, we were able to get about 40% of the cockroach controlled in a lot of those units. And it took us about 3 to 4 months. And this is how bad it was. We were expecting 6 to 9 months on this project, and we're getting back into it to get it done. And it looks very promising for us to get this done. But it is in a depressed part of town where poverty is very bad, and the problem is not being solved. And we're going to do whatever we can to try to solve that for a bunch of people that are living there. But this cockroach is between about half an inch to 5/8. This is the roach. If you want to identify it over the phone from every other roach, this is what you ask the client. Are you seeing this roach during the day, or when you turn on the lights at night, the roach is there all over the place? And typically that is the answer, that the roach is all over the place at night when you turn on the lights. Most people avoid getting up at night and going into the kitchen because they know they're going to encounter it. So that's one of the clues that you have a German cockroach that you can diagnose over the phone. It favors very humid atmospheres, areas where temperatures are between 70 and 75. This is the typical home temperature. So they can live pretty much anywhere, any building. They can live there because that's the perfect temperature. That's where most people keep their air conditioning. In South Florida, this happens all year round. We get calls for German roaches all year round. We don't get a break from them. It has an incomplete metamorphosis, meaning it only has 3 life stages: egg, nymph, and adult. So they go from egg to nymph, and then through the stages of nymphal cycles, and then they go to adult. Now, the entire life cycle to complete from egg to adult is about 100 days. Okay, so you got 90 days, 100 days, 3 months, a little bit more than that, of a complete life cycle. And this is where IGRs come in to interrupt that life cycle from egg to adult. And primarily nymph actually to adult is the most important time. And this is why we use and recommend everyone to use an IGR when they're doing a German cockroach job at the beginning, because that's going to set you up for the next 90 days to be able to get control of that complete life cycle. Typical egg case contains up to 48, typically somewhere between 30 and 40 eggs in an egg casing. Now, the egg and the egg casing are two different things. The egg casing is what that roach drops, and typically they have it until the moment they're born. So they carry it with them until they're born. And sometimes you can even witness the roach being born while it's still attached to the female. Adult females can produce anywhere between 4 to egg casings in their life cycle. So that's a lot of egg casing. Think about it. If you've got anywhere up to 40, you got 4 times 8. That's almost 500 roaches out of one female. Typically about 200. So one roach will produce about 200 offspring in her lifetime. Room temperatures, they can just produce about every 6 weeks. So if they're indoors and that place is humid, like it is in South Florida, it isn't in most of the Caribbean, it's going to be produced about every 6 weeks. And that's very important to know, because you know that whatever you're doing now, they can still be producing eggs during your service. All right. So now it usually takes about 28 days for those egg capsules to hatch and begin to form. So what you got to be realistic about is that if you do a German roach service, you can pretty much get rid of all the adults in about 30 days. But understand this, that whatever was laid, the chances of it's going to hatch, and what the customer is going to experience in the next 28 days after that is going to be a lot of nymphs. And they're going to see, all the adults gone, especially if you've done it right, and you're going to start seeing nymphs being hatched. So having to do a second and third service in a period of 60 to 90 days is not unusual to try to get control of the German roach. Length of egg stage is going to vary between 14 to 35 days. So somewhere around there, you're going to get a hatching. What we've done for German roaches in residential is we do one complete service. We wait 30 days. By that point, believe it or not, we get about 95, 98% control, where the customer barely sees a roach during that period of time. And then what we tell them is you're going to experience this, start seeing a lot of little ones, a lot of little nymphs everywhere, because they hatch. There's nothing we can do really to stop that egg from hatching. So that getting the right expectation with the client is vitally important, that they understand that this is how it's going to be. The lifespan of the adult is going to vary sometime between 20 and 30 weeks. All right. So yeah, we're looking at 2.5 years of this roach being able to live. So they live a long time. In 2 generations, you can have as many as 10,000 roaches. That's not uncommon. This is why people who try to get control of it themselves only hold it off, but they're still battling a year later. Because of that habit of them going into cracks and crevices, most people never go into cracks and crevices, never treat cracks and crevices, where the roaches are actually hiding. And that is the big problem, that they're using foggers and thinking foggers are going to get back in that cabinet way in the back, or foggers are going to get behind outlets. Foggers are not going to get behind the stove. Foggers are not going to get behind the refrigerator. You got to get back there. You got to get to them where they're hiding. Stages between molts, those are called instars, okay? So you're going to have the instars when they shed their skin and they're left open to get a new skin. That's your instar, all right? So room temperature nymphs completely develop in about 60 days. A typical adult female can live about 200 days, like I said. Now, German cockroaches are omnivorous. They will eat literally everything, okay? They have a really disgusting process. They eat their own feces. They will eat table scraps. They will eat pet food. They will eat book binding. They'll eat just about anything. They eat their own vomit. Ematophagy. Which is the eating of their own vomit. They will eat their own kind. These guys are cannibalistic. So this is why roach bait, is so successful, and why roach bait to this day, 20 something years after it was developed and introduced, is still not being used by a ton of people. They insist on using sprays. They insist on using, pyrethroids to try to control this. And month after month after month, they're going back, not controlling the problem. And some of this is, done unintentionally. Some of it is not. Some of it is just done by ignorance. But it took 10 years for bait to be accepted in this industry. Yet bait will use that biology, that way they eat their feces, they eat their vomit, they eat their kind. Bait will utilize that biology against them. So there is distinct differences between male and female. You can see the differences in the body and the body shapes. I have put a bunch of links on here for you to get, a good, by the way, this podcast right here, this introduction I'm doing to biology of insects, is a great training tool, to give to new techs so they become familiar very quickly with these insects. I mean, you can bring them up to date in a couple of minutes a day, with, giving them this information. So they produce, the eggs outside of the body. They don't carry the eggs. They're oviporous eggs. That's one of the characteristics of this roach. Some roaches deposit their eggs, while others carry them along until they hatch. Okay. And I've got here a whole bunch of taxonomy, on the, which is important to understand the taxonomy. I've got a bunch of links. I've got list of equipment that you can use and products, that you can use. Monitors are great. Air compressor, vacuum, cracking crevice, tool that you'll need, like an AccuSpray or an AeroFog, are great. Roach gels. Pick your roach gel. My favorite is Advion. We're doing a bunch of tests with some other ones, but I really like Advion because of the tertiary kill effect. That is pretty much the only active ingredient that does that. That's proven. I have a podcast I've done on this, and I've got links on that in other podcasts. Liquids, try to stay away from liquids that you contaminate the bait, and especially in the area that you're baiting. If you got suspecting roaches in other parts of the house and you want to do some crack and crevice treatment in those areas, you can use the pyrethroids. But just keep it away from the areas that you're baiting. Don't use it near there, and don't use it in the kitchen if you're baiting, because you will contaminate that bait. The potential of contaminating it is great. IGRs is a must. Monitors is a must. You gotta know if you got any left, if you got any coming in, and new, especially in apartments that you're doing apartment buildings, you gotta know if they're coming across. Guys, don't forget to seal. Don't forget to foam in underneath those pipes. Keep it from it. Also, baits that I like, avert, dust bait, and you can also use granular bait. So using an IPM approach to using things integrated together is your best approach to getting really fast control of this. Borates are also very good. Products like Nibor D are excellent borates because they just the way it's a light dust. You can put it anywhere. Little different than boric acid, about 20% more borates than just boric acid. So take a look at the notes. I got a lot of stuff in there. Hey guys, I will see you again tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Pest Geek Podcast. If you have enjoyed the Pest Geek Podcast, please give us a rating, write a review, or subscribe to the channel. You can join the Pest Geek Society by visiting pestgeekpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. See you next time.